Good morning, everybody. This is so exciting to be here and to see all of you again, and to see and feel the energy and excitement. And we're 2 years away. So this is just such a great kickoff for 250 PA Chester County. I am so thrilled and honored to be chairing this, and we have such a great group of people. Many of you don't know, this all started in 2020. I'm grateful to my then colleagues, Commissioner Moskowitz and Commissioner Maxwell, for appointing me to be the liaison between the state organization for the 250th and Chester County. So obviously a few things occurred in 2020, so things kind of got quiet. But despite that, we've still been working hard. And while I was a commissioner, we had appointed a wonderful group of people to actually be the committee to steer this event forward in Chester County in 2026. And 2026 is going to be a big year for this region. Besides having a big birthday party for the Declaration of Independence, we also have FIFA World Cup in Philadelphia, and we have in our neighboring county, right at the border of Chester County, we're going to have a large PGA tournament. So there's going to be a lot of people here. So this is a very, very exciting opportunity to start working now and plan ahead for the whole county. And you're going to hear today from our great panelists, elected officials. We're going to be asking them about their vision. And then we're going to all break out and talk about what's important to all of you, because for these kinds of things to work, you really have to have community buy-in, and it is so important to have our local stories told. And one of the things that I've found so rewarding about doing this is not, for those of you that are old enough to, and I'm one of them, to remember 1976. This isn't going to just be a one-day fireworks, flash in the pan, great party. We're going to have plenty of that, believe me. But what we really want to work on is having a legacy. And a legacy that we can share with our children, our grandchildren, and their children. And connecting our county in telling the story of our history. And the history didn't just begin and end with the Declaration. There's been a lot of evolution and a lot of different groups coming into the county and some very, very significant events. And you're going to hear about that in our themes. And if we can pull this off, and I know we can, if we have this many people out here today, 2.5, almost 2 years to the date, we're going to do it. And I know most of you in this room, you have vision, you have energy, and you have drive. And you're going to have a lot of grit too, because we're going to have to push. You know, as I don't have to tell my elected official friends, there's always budgetary constraints and things, but I know we're creative. I know we can do this. And we are going to make this the first county to be completely connected, not just through physical structure, but through technology with our stories and our history, and make this a destination, not only for the region, but for the East Coast, and I think for the United States. So I'm very excited about it, and with that, I will turn it over to Karen.
You're gonna stay right there. Yeah. So I knew Michelle would do a great intro and cover all my slides, so you saw what was there. This is terrific. Thank you so much. We want to jump right into our first panel for the day. For our panel, y'all have 2 mics and 5 fabulous folks, Commissioners Moskowitz and Rowe, and I should have done this the opposite order. I messed up my order. We are pleased to be joined today by State Senator Carolyn Comida. Woo! And also State Representatives Christina Sappi and Chris Paelli. Woohoo! Thank you. And also, saving some pretty good for the last introduction, Marion Moskowitz and Eric Rowe. The honorables, all right? Is that better, Michelle? I got to learn this government stuff. Sorry about that, folks. All right. So what we have are 3 questions for you. They're in your handouts. If you don't have a handout, grab them. They're in the middle of the table. And by the way, you also have plenty of pens at the table and lapel pins, and we want them all gone when you leave. So take them with you and spread the word. That also applies to you. See these boxes of 250 is coming cards? Can you spread these throughout the land? And can you spread these throughout the land? There's a QR code on them. They can go everywhere. I have a feeling that as elected officials, these heritage themes are important to you. Now, I think these should be the most important thing to you, but I assume that you have other things that you also are working on. Can you speak to which or how do any of the 4 themes fit into your current priorities as an elected official? Anybody? Go for it, Eric.
Good morning, everybody. I'm County Commissioner Eric Rowe. Thank you all for being here. What a beautiful morning for this event, and what a beautiful venue. Can we give a round of applause to Randall Spackman and Thornbury Farm? So the heritage tourism theme that I'm most excited about is the Path to Freedom theme. So I grew up here, and I remember as a kid in elementary school, you loved to play hide and seek, and so my friends who had historic homes that may have had hiding spaces from the Civil War era always loved to host hide and seek at their house because they had the coolest places to hide. Chester County has tremendous heritage and history for so many people, for getting people across that Mason-Dixon line, right? We have the Mason-Dixon line. If you haven't visited the tri-state border in London Britton Township, take the hike through the woods to get there. I think you'll be happy you did. But I'm excited to just to celebrate that history. I'm excited to just appreciate that rich history we've got. One of my priorities as a county commissioner is to make sure everybody knows they're welcome here in Chester County. No matter how you got here, no matter how your ancestors got here, you are welcome here, you are celebrated here. And so that's one theme that fits well with my priorities as an elected official. So I'm really excited about that.
Thank you, Eric. This is good to know. Anybody else? Honorable Comida.
Good morning, Karen, and colleagues and friends.
And if you feel like standing up,
I was just going to say, this way I can see everybody, and you can see us. Good morning. I can't believe how many people are here today. Of course, it is a gorgeous day here with Randall Spackman at Thornbury Farm, which is gorgeous. And Randall, what you have done with this space is absolutely stunning, and your garden and your produce and everything. Thank you for your service to the community for all of these years and for welcoming us today. So, and thanks to everybody for being here. I'm State Senator Carolyn Comida, and I represent about half of Chester County. And my district is all in Chester County, from the Valley Forge Park and Tredyffrin Township through Malvern and the boroughs and Westchester and Downingtown and City of Coatesville and Borough of Oxford and down to the Maryland border. So my connection personally as a state senator, and also in my life of work with agricultural bounty and natural landscapes, I think is reflected, and we have to celebrate that Chester County has been successful in preserving and conserving over 30% of the land in this county. How amazing is that? preserved open space. Most recently, Craybilly Farm. Any of you who were a part of that effort, right? Absolutely amazing. So, and that is a collaboration of local, county, and state government. That's where these monies have come from. That's where the energy and the people have come from. And we were all rowing in the same direction on Craybilly and on preserving all of the open space in Chester County. In my world as a state senator, I am the co-chair of the Energy and Environmental Resources Committee in the Senate. And environment and protecting the environment for today and for future generations is my number one passion. Well, including education and equality and justice and so on. But that has been what has driven me to make sure that we are shaping a Chester County, a Pennsylvania, a United States, and a world that is going to meet the needs of everyone today. That's a lofty goal, but we can do that. That is a vision that I know we all share. And that the way we're meeting those needs is going to allow for those that follow us, my children, my 4 little granddaughters, and all of yours, will have the ability to enjoy and prosper and be healthy in the future as well. That's called sustainable development. Coined at the Earth Summit in 1992, where I had the distinct pleasure of attending. So let me say, and I'm going to end with this because my colleagues have other things to say, very important things to say. I think it's really important to remember that Pennsylvania was the first, and until relatively recently, the only state in the country that has an environmental rights amendment. Article 1, Section 27. And this should be this drives Chester County's open space preservation and has for years and years. But the Article 1, Section 27 says the people have a right to clean air, pure water, and the preservation of the natural, scenic, historic, and aesthetic values of the environment. You can see that this Article 1, Section 27, the Environmental Rights Amendment, really covers all of the themes of Chester County 250. Pennsylvania's public natural resources are the common property of all the people, including generations yet to come. As trustee of these resources, the Commonwealth shall conserve and maintain them for the benefit of all the people. This is something we can be really proud of. And I often like to remind, first of all, most people don't know we have this, including a lot of the legislators. Chris Sappi and Chris Pielli know about it. Our county commissioners know about it. We are all about it. But I repeat it all the time, and people go like, oh, I didn't know that. And I say, so you see, it's not just a really good idea. It's not a suggestion, this might be something you'd like to do. It's a mandate. It's part of our Constitution. So I think everything that we're doing with Chester County 250 is going to be working to support this Environmental Rights Amendment and the rights of the people today and future generations. As Michelle said, we are shaping a legacy. Where we are today is a place we can really be proud. Let's make sure that the choices we are making moving forward enable our children, grandchildren, and beyond to also be proud, to prosper, to thrive, and to enjoy this beautiful county and beyond. Thank you.
We're going to just move on down the line here, I guess. I'm State Rep Christina Sappi, and I represent the 158th, which starts up in West Bradford in the Marshallton area and goes all the way down through Kennett to Avondale Borough. And I looked at this big packet of information and thought a lot about how we are going to weave the past together with and honoring our history here with the future. And I thought about the work we're doing in Harrisburg, in some ways unwittingly in this way. And I think, I look at the different themes that you've identified, and I think that's what's so special about representing Chester County, is that these are our values.
Yeah.
These are absolutely our values. And so that's why it's such an honor to represent these values in the legislature. Agricultural, bounty, and natural landscape, Philadelphia campaign, and the path to freedom are three areas that I actually focus on. Again, sort of unwittingly, but this is where a lot of the passion and a lot of the work comes from. I'm on the agricultural committee and the local government committees, and this is where a lot of things happen in terms of protecting our agricultural heritage in Pennsylvania and our history that's behind all of that. Right now, we're working on, we just passed this week, an agricultural innovation bill that recognizes that agriculture is our number one industry in Pennsylvania, but also recognizes the challenges that come with agriculture. I'm sure Randall knows all too well how challenging growing anything is right now, and sustaining a farm. Dairy is our number one industry within agriculture, but we also have so much opportunity there. And when you look at our history, we have a lot of historical crops and things that happened 300 years ago that we can actually learn an awful lot from. And I'm thinking about growing hemp and the enormous opportunity we have within industrial hemp, and growing textiles and all of the different things that can happen when we grow hemp. We have a lot of space in Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of opportunity there. Another thing, we are learning so much from a lot of the farmers in our area about regenerative and sustainable farming, and these are practices that go back, again, 300 years. And so employing these things really help us to sustain our environment, as Carolyn points out, but also to make sure that we don't have food deserts. This is something that in Chester County it's hard to really conceive of, but this is something that we're very concerned about across the Commonwealth. Also, the Philadelphia campaign, when I think about the Philadelphia campaign, I don't know if any of you have read Bruce Moudy's book, Brandywine, The Battle of the Brandywine, 1775.
Wait, who's read it? Bruce Moudy has.
Is he here? Is he here?
Bruce, where are you, Bruce?
He's here.
Whoa!
Where are you? Shout out. Great book. I learned so much about the Battle of Brandywine from reading that book and living in Marshallton, suburban Marshallton, to be honest. But I think about what happened that day that so many people don't know. The fact that they could see the smoke and saw the river, the Brandywine River, running red all the way in Philadelphia, because obviously the landscape was flat from Philly out to here. You think about what we suffered out here. And we think about Squire Cheney, notifying everybody at Martin's Tavern in Marshallton that the British were coming, and nobody believed him. I mean, just amazing stories like this. This is, and so by talking about this, we're going to lead into tourism and the amazing opportunity we have here in Chester County and outside of Philadelphia during our 250th anniversary to get people out here into Chester County to learn those stories. So there's so much more I could say, and I'm sure this will all
We'll
come out in our
circle back, and
conversation.
we're not done today.
I know. It's got a lot of time, but I want to give time to Chris and Marion also. But it's an honor, again, to have these values weave into the work that we do every day. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir.
Hi, folks. I'm State Representative Chris Peely of House District 156, which covers Westchester, West Goshen.
For photos.
Thank you. Thanks for looking out. Most of
156.
East Goshen, East Bradford. Very happy to be here. Thank you, everyone, for coming out on this lovely day to support this very important project. I see all four themes as extremely important, and I also see this whole project as a wonderful opportunity to reflect, to rethink, and to recognize the values that hold us together. These are divisive times, but this is a wonderful opportunity for us to remind ourselves who we are, where we're going, where we come from. I serve on the Environmental and Emergency Energy Committee. I serve on the Judiciary Committee. I'm a veteran. I serve on the Veteran Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee. And to me, when we look at the rich history, you often hear freedom isn't free, and that's true. We were just recently reminded yesterday on June 6th of what that means. There's a price tag for what we have here today. And I think it's really important that we take the time, think about the sacrifices that were made, not only here, the Battle of the Brandywine, the other September 11th, but also what we're facing now and into the future. There's sacrifices that were made, the receipt of which still lingers on this battlefield and the beaches of Normandy. And this is a time for us to do honor to them. We have the responsibility. What are we going to do with it, with this 248-year-old experiment? That's in your hands. And to see folks like you who care come out here, who are willing to put the time in, it makes me feel like this is all worth it. So thank you so much. Whatever I can do to help, I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, good luck following that, Marion.
I know, I can't follow. I'm at the end of all of these great comments.
We'll
so.
make discussion for the next question, okay?
I will just tell you, it is so exciting to be here, and I want to thank Karen and Michelle and everybody who's working on this, because it takes an army to get this done. You know, I grew up in Philadelphia, in Kensington, and then the far Northeast. And 40 years ago, my husband and I moved out here because our son needed a special school. And I came out here to Green, because I had a little alley behind my house, Green and farms and industry and Quaker heritage, and how we all work together to make this county something so special that very few people can experience. I will tell you that every one of these unique things to Chester County are unique to me every day as I'm driving around this amazing county, going from place to place and learning about our history and our heritage. Even people are always surprised, and Michelle's the one that told me this. I had no idea that the county flag has a ship on it because we were on the Delaware at one point. Oh, yeah. I mean, the things that we can share with others and this special place that we have that we are lucky enough to call home. I think every one of these priorities should be near and dear to our heart, because that is what makes this county unique and special and a great place to live, raise a family, and work in. Thank you.
Thank you. It's incredible to hear your testimony, in a sense, of why this incredible sacred ground is just so incredibly special to the world. I'm going to get to where the rubber hits the road in question two, because as much as we cherish all these things, when it comes to getting people's attention and resources, there's a balance point. And so many times, history, heritage, civic engagement, cultural expression takes second or third place to basic human needs: food, clothing, shelter. I mean, they're very real needs. So how can we balance that from a resource perspective? And from your perspective, we're talking about cherishing the very ground and our power of place. We're also talking about tourism and heritage tourism, economic development, which sounds very harsh, and crass compared to food, clothing, and shelter. So regarding funding and community engagement, how do we balance that? Because we all know it's important to us, but can we put our money where our mouth is too? And you can just chat on this one.
I'll grab this one. I think it comes back to our values and valuing people. On Memorial Day, I was talking about how do we honor the sacrifice that our fallen soldiers gave. They gave their lives for this country. And how do we honor that? And we honor that every single day by honoring each other. And I think when we realize that there are people in need, even in the wealthiest county in Pennsylvania, we honor our fallen by taking care of those who need help and providing food, shelter, clothing, and the things that are just essential to life. And that means making it a priority. That means making people a priority. That means making our workforce a priority. And I think we're, coming out of the pandemic, we're seeing how incredibly important people are. They're important to our businesses, they're important to our communities, and we have to honor each and every single one of us. And that's, again, how we honor the sacrifice of those that came before us.
Other thoughts? Carolyn or Senator Comita?
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Chris. So I'm going to take sort of a 30,000-foot view of this, and I'm going to focus on, the question says, how do we balance basic needs with heritage, economic development, and democracy needs?
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to remember that the structure of our democracy and how it has functioned for almost 250 years has allowed and set the stage for local, county, state, and federal elected officials, citizens, and so on, to help each other meet our basic needs. For those in need, no one does it better than Chester County with the food bank and the Habitat for Humanity, United Way, the Friends Association. I mean, you could all give me 20 more wonderful organizations. But I think it is really important to remember that, as we all know, regardless of political party or political consideration, our nation is divided today and our democracy is under attack. And that's okay, because that says, let's pay attention, let's talk about who are we really, and what does it mean to be an American in a democracy today. And having different viewpoints, we've always had them. We need to listen to each other. We need to come together, and even if we don't agree, and we're not going to agree with it, we don't even agree with each other all the time, but we talk and we listen and we care. So I'm focusing on this, the democracy that sets the stage for us to have difficult conversations, to have debates, to question what does democracy mean. And this is a perfect time to do it. We have 250, and we have an election coming up. And, as the League of Women Voters says, your vote is your voice. So regardless of who you're voting for, it is very, very important that you speak up and that you vote and you engage in the most fundamental aspect of democracy. So, and I also think that it's important, as we are considering meeting basic needs, heritage economic development, that we consider where we are today regarding the climate crisis. Things are shifting and changing quickly. Some of the things that we could count on before are washing away or drying up. And we have to think differently, but that's where we really need everybody's ideas and everybody working together. I mean, you look at the Brandywine River Museum and Hanks Place and, local places here that we just take for granted, and suddenly things change. So that's okay. Our democracy gives us that bedrock to say, okay, things are shifting, things are different. What are we going to do about it? Some of it we can make policy changes and remove carbon from the air and do all kinds of things we need to do to reduce the impacts of climate change for today and for tomorrow. But there are also changes that are already coming that unfortunately we can't stop. We need to reduce and limit moving forward. So the things we have to deal with today, the ground is shifting. Let's be nimble and be creative, and use that bedrock of democracy to help give us the stage we need to be able to come together, share diverse ideas, get the people at the table who you don't like, well, I don't know, but you don't like the way their ideas. We need all of the different voices together. That is how you come up with good ideas. That has been my experience. You find the most opposing viewpoints and you bring them together. Sometimes the only thing people agree on is the status quo is not working. And then you go from there. So let's do that. Use democracy to shape a really healthy future in the reality we live in today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other balanced people? Okay,
So-
Honorable Rowe.
Part of the Chester County experience inherently involves public safety. And so Chester County's Department of Emergency Services is already getting ready for the many, many people that will be visiting our region over the next few years. Commissioner Kickline outlined several of the different tourist attractions that will be coming to our region. We're ready for that. We're getting ready for that, right? So that's a basic human need that we are committing funding to so that we ensure everybody gets to enjoy these events safely. But I'd like to echo what Senator Comita just said. So part of my hope for the 250th is that we, as a community, but also as a nation, recommit to civility. I don't know if you've ever read the book Bowling Alone,
Yes.
but it's brilliant. And one of the things that it talks about is how we've moved away from doing things together as a community, and we've individualized many of the just daily activities that we do, and what happens is relationships break down, and that's a breeding ground for incivility. I've knocked on 30,000 doors over the last 10 years. I've seen some of that incivility myself. I've also seen some of the loveliest. I've had some of the loveliest interactions with our neighbors, and I've been reminded about the neighborliness of Chester County at the same time. But my hope is that we use this 250th birthday celebration to reconnect with each other, to rebuild community, and to foster those human relationships that give way to better community and more civility. That's my hope for this.
Thank you. Rep. Perry.
I'd like to echo what Representative Sappi said about values. So the question is about funding, and how do you put a price tag on your values? Ben Franklin said when they came out of the Constitution Hall, when a woman asked him what form of government we have, he said, a republic, if you can keep it. And so we look at ourselves, and you think of the old philosopher saying, be true to thine own self. Who are we? What are our values? What holds us together? We come from many different walks of life, different religions, different ethnicities, different viewpoints. What holds us together? What makes us different than any other country on God's green earth? And it's our values. How do you put a price tag on that? It's not easy. This is an opportunity, as just said, for us to re-examine and renew those values and take in stock each other. We're not going anywhere. We're all here. No one's leaving. We have to continue this experiment somehow, some way. That's our challenge. It's been a challenge for nearly 250 years, but I think we're up for it. And I think that's what's so important about this project, that reminder, that mission that must be completed, because what's the alternative? We're facing interesting times right now, and we're focusing on things that differ, that makes us different, where we should be focusing on what holds us together. I mentioned I'm a veteran. I was with the 82nd Airborne. Before we, thank you. I can assure you, no one was asking who was a Republican, who was a Democrat, when we were about to jump out of that plane and the person behind you was doing an equipment check for you. No one turned around and said, "Are you a Republican? I don't trust you." That didn't happen, and that's what we have to refocus on right now. So, the funding is going to be interesting, but I think that's the argument. That's how we get the proper funding. How do you put a price tag on the values that hold us together as this great nation goes forward into the future?
Thank you. Did you want to add anything, or should we go on to the next? Anybody? Oh,
So I'm
thank
just
you.
gonna, approach this in a little more practical way as the county and what we are doing as a county. We focus on all of these basic needs every day. That's what the county commissioners do. That's what the county government does. We talk about homelessness. We are the wealthiest county in the state, but we have homeless people, and we have to care for them. We have amazing agriculture here, but we need more land for farming because we have to feed people. We have a lot of work to do, and we are constantly looking at how we can help. The food banks, CACs, PACs, the food bank, all those people, they help one another, and that's what they're there for, and that's what we do in Chester County. So we talk constantly about how we help funding, but also you should know that this is one of the most charitable counties I've seen across the state. We have more nonprofits here that care for one another. So if you can, get involved in one of those to help people who need food, who have dealing with food insecurity, dealing with childcare issues, dealing with healthcare issues, all the basic needs that we all live by and we need. Now, a lot of us are fortunate, a lot of us are not. And we cannot forget those that are less fortunate. Thank you.
All right, we're going to close out with, I guess, what I would call a very practical question. You guys serve the people every day, and you obviously have different constituencies. And before we do our breakout sessions, we'd really like to hear from you as to what your hopes are for the actual commemoration of the 250th anniversary. And how it's going to impact this celebration, everybody, not only in the nation, but in the county. I'll even give you maybe a little softball feeder too. Not everything has to happen on that day. So or year. So if you have other ideas for things that we can do, not just that day, but the months before and the year before, we'd love to hear them.
I'll start, and I'll be very blunt. I hope we make a lot of money off this. I want our businesses to see revenue skyrocket. I hope that they can capture this moment and they can bring in tourism dollars. I know that the county's tourism office is working hard to make sure we're ready, and their planning department are ready for this. I just want a lot of economic benefit for our people. That's what I want.
Nobody can argue with that. So, my hope is that as a result of all of these amazing Chester County-wide events, that all of the various communities, individuals, communities are lifted, have an opportunity to celebrate who they are, what they do, how they contribute to making Chester County a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family. And in particular, my hope is that the young people who are doing amazing work today and have a lot on their shoulders, as we know, we could go through all of the things they had to endure: the pandemic, economic difficulties, climate crisis, gun violence. They are looking at their future with some trepidation, but they are also really empowered. They're saying, if nobody else has done anything, I'm going to do something. And so I hope that we keep in mind all of the young people in our communities, and we invite them to the table. We engage with them. They lift them up. They are the future. And we need them to be able to look to the future with hope. So you have things like Pride, right? It's Pride Month. There's going to be, in Phoenixville, tomorrow is the Pride Fest. I'll be there. Senator Casey will be there. Everybody's going to be there. It's the place to be. Juneteenth is now a holiday in Pennsylvania, right? And well, it should be. And there are many, many activities. There are going to be a lot of young people involved. You look at the young people. How about the young people from Lincoln University in my district? The Lincoln University is let me get this right, the first degree granting historically black college and university in the country. Okay? Thurgood Marshall, you got a whole list of people who are alums. Last year during budget season, which we are in at the moment, the budget was held up, of course, until December, but that's another story. But one of the biggest problems was funding for Lincoln University, Penn State, Temple, and Pitt. But Lincoln University especially, they don't have big endowments and so on, and they're like, we need the state money in order to operate. We're going to have to lay people off. What did they do? They didn't wring their hands. They didn't say, oh, well, what are you going to do? Let Penn State do it. They got a bazillion people. No, 14 of the Lincoln University students marched to Harrisburg, called the Freedom 14, and they held a press conference, and they said, you need to fund us, and here's why. They were speaking for not only Lincoln University, but for the bazillion students at Penn State, Pitt, and Temple. Those 14 Lincoln University students right here in Chester County. And you know what? They got it done. They did it. Then you look at the March for Our Lives students, right? Gun violence prevention. They were successful. You want to know who the movers and shakers are? Look at the young people. The young people, after the Parkland shootings, they said, all right, okay, no more. Unfortunately, there's been more. But they were able, with their efforts, marching and speaking and drawing a line in the sand to elected officials. You're either with us or you're not with us. And if you're not with us, we're going to work to vote you out. And we're going to work to vote someone in who is. And they were successful in Pennsylvania to get this legislature in a bipartisan way to pass the first gun violence prevention bill in over 20 years. That was the young people, March for Our Lives. And we all helped them. We didn't do it, but we, helped them rent the courthouse steps or whatever and get the police security for their big rally. Sunrise Sunrise Movement, students fighting climate change, and so on. These kids are making it happen. Let's engage them. Let's show them what democracy is all about. Let's show them the bounty of Chester County. Give them hope and make them be a part of making it all happen. It is their future, and we need to help them. Thank you.
I can't disagree with anything that's been said so far. And I totally agree with Commissioner Rowe on the economic development opportunity here. So I'm going to be extremely practical in what I'm looking for. I'm looking for us to improve and create a 21st century infrastructure. We all agree that we have a wonderful place to celebrate, and we have an incredible history here that ties to the birth of our democracy. People cannot get here from Philadelphia if we don't have SEPTA funded and if we don't repair our roads and bridges. This is something that is so critically important to economic development and to all of us, and getting services to the people who need them, and to empower our young people to go to places that they want to get to. We need a strong 21st century infrastructure and public transportation system. And that's my vision. Help me get it done.
So I'm hoping the main impact, once again, is the idea that we could talk about our values, have a discussion. Every day, we elected officials just about stand and take a pledge to allegiance and to the republic for which it stands. For which it stands. That's the question. That's the question that people are asking today. And a lot of the younger folks are wondering for which it stands. What does that mean? This is the wonderful opportunity to have those discussions. You know, democracy is not easy. It's difficult. It has shown to be filled with energetic discourse, to say the least. But it's always been and always should be devotion to the republic and for which it stands. Because if people don't believe in that, then nothing's going to happen. The money, the infrastructure, the environment, nothing's going to happen unless we all believe and we all defend and we all promote these values that we have. That's the most important thing I see for this awareness, so we can move forward as a great country together.
Thank you, Chris. I must say, I agree with everything that's been said. And to Representative Seppi, as Vice Chair of SEPTA, I want that funding. Because when I came out here 40 years ago, transportation, it was like a desert for transportation out here, and it still is. And we have a lot of work to do. So, but thank you for that, Rep. Seppi. I just want to say that I think one of the things that I would really like to see come out of this is that we don't take Chester County for granted, that we don't take each other for granted, and that at the end of the day, we come together as a community and share everything that we have to share with everybody. I want to make money. I want tourism to flourish. It's coming back after COVID, but we have a lot of great things here to share with our community, from the southern part of the county to the northern, to the western, to the eastern. And our urban centers are thriving, and it's a great time to bring people in. So my hope is that we learn what we have here ourselves, because a lot of us don't know. We live in our own areas, and we know what happens in those areas. But I want you all to explore the entire county and not just focus on the area you live in, because you'd be surprised how different we are, from Phoenixville to Oxford, to the mushroom farms, to the dairy farms. It is just so magnificent to drive around here, and I encourage you all to do that, so we don't take it for granted, and we have other people coming here that enjoy what we have, and that what all you so deserve. They deserve it too. So I think we're going to end up with a lot of people maybe wanting to move here, but we will figure that out. But thank you. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you to our panelists. This was really informative and helpful, and it's setting the stage for our next part of our morning extravaganza. So, we definitely will continue to work with you. We need your voices, especially when, reaching out to Senator Kmita's point to the young people. It's has always been, since I got in this role, really a very important thing that we have young people become aware of this, and we have to speak to them, because if we're just speaking to people that have been interested in history or historians, they have a different voice than we do, and we have to understand that. And I had shared with my committee, I had an opportunity to go out with my kids, who are Gen Zs, out to Utah, and we were in the National Park Service, and I'm sitting there with, they hand out the paper map when you go through the thing, and I'm looking at the map, and they're on their phone, and I'm thinking, oh my God, we're like speaking totally different languages. So they're like, so what's the map say, Mom? And they're holding up their phone. So we really need to, work on that in the next couple of years. And you guys have a platform that we don't have, so we definitely all need to work together. So we appreciate your time this morning very, very much.